What's going on, guys? Robert with the Bodybuilding Anchor. Now that the finals are over and we all know that Samson won the 2023 Arnold Classic, I want to do a breakdown pose for pose between Nick and Samson to see who really should have won this show. Watching from the live stream last night, I thought for sure Nick was beating Samson in a lot of these mandatory poses, but now that I have reviewed the HD photos and compared, it's actually a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. So starting out with the front double, Samson has bigger quads, but Nick's are more conditioned and detailed though, so this is pretty equal in my opinion. The chest thickness would go to Samson. Nick's chest actually looked pretty flat during the finals. Arm size and detail here goes to Nick. Lats I would also give to Nick just because of the size and thickness. Shape clearly goes to Samson. And overall, Nick is more conditioned, so if we tally these up, that's 3-2 for Nick. So Nick takes the front double bicep. Next up, we have the back double bicep. Lower body with the hamstring and glutes, that goes to Nick. Nick has the most dugout hamstrings in the IFBB right now, and the glute detail with the ham tie-in is overall just better than Samson's. So lower body goes to Nick. And we know that Samson's weakest body part is his back, and this is kind of a strong point for Nick. I also like Nick's lat insertions better too. They seem to tie in lower on the back, so also I would give this one to Nick. Shoulders and arms look very comparable here in this pose actually, but Nick is bringing more detail, so I would give the upper hand to him for this. And Samson again wins in shape, and also Nick gets conditioning here again. And if we tally up the points for the back double, we get a 4-1 win for Nick. Here we have the rear lat spread, and again, I just covered the lower body in the back double bicep, and it's pretty much the same here, so this one goes to Nick. But the back here is very close. I really don't see anyone having the upper hand here, and Nick almost somehow makes it appear that he has a better shape than Samson in this pose, which is pretty incredible when you think about it, so this is a toss-up for me. It could go either way. Samson's shoulders are looking more capped here, and what appears to be more size in the tricep, so I would give arms to Samson. Conditioning in this shot is actually very close, so I would say this is a toss-up. It could go either way. And with the tally of these points for this pose, it's a 1-1 tie. This could go to either one of them, and I would be very okay with that result. And now we get into the side poses, and this is where things got really tight, when initially I thought Nick had dominated Samson in the live judging. Here in this side chest, I thought Nick could not be beaten this pose, but when you take a really close look at it, Samson actually looks insane here. From a lower body standpoint, I like the hamstring, quad, glute tie-ins better on Nick, so I will give Nick the lower body. Chest would definitely go to Samson here though. His chest looks extremely full when Nick's looks pretty flat here and has not as much size in comparison. Nick usually has freakishly big detailed arms, but here I would give the upper hand to Samson. His arms look massive and full here with very, very good detail. The shoulders are so close that it's a toss-up. It could really go either way. Both are very round and capped. The conditioning from Nick here is not really overpowering in this shot compared to Samson, so I'd really just give this a tie. And the shape here I would give to Samson. He has a little more width than Nick, and he's able to open up his chest more, so I'll give him the upper hand on this. So with this tally, we have a 3-1 win for Samson. Up next is the side tricep, and starting at the lower body, I much prefer Nick here. I think his position shows off the legs more, and they look just way more detailed. This may have to do a lot with the angle though. Even still, I'm going to give Nick the upper hand. Chest again goes to Samson. It just looks more big and full than Nick's. More round and not stretched out like Nick's looks here. Now I don't know if this is a bad angle of Nick's arms, but Samson's triceps look much bigger and fuller here than Nick. Detail is similar, but overall, the arms go to Samson. The delts are very close. I like Nick's pose position better because it gives the delts a much more capped look, so the delts will go to Nick for me. And I know I haven't mentioned abdomen yet for any of these poses, and that's because I think they're very comparable. It's really just a toss-up, and this one too, it's a toss-up. Shape here for this pose would be a tie for me. Samson's shape is just not overpowering here at all, so it's just very comparable. And yet again, conditioning here will go to Nick for me. And with these results tallied up, we get a 3-2 win for Nick. Up next, we have the ab and thigh. The legs here, Nick in my opinion just dominates. Nick really shows off his conditioning in this pose, and his quad sweep looks pretty decent here, whereas Samson can do a much better job with his lower body in this pose, so this one here goes to Nick. Chest in this pose, I would give to Samson again. Just the thickness Samson has in his chest really makes a difference and a standout. Nick's doesn't look bad here, but as a side-by-side comparison, it's just clear that Samson has the bigger and better chest. Now, I'm not sure how much consideration they put into the arms here in this pose, but I'm going to include it anyway. The size is very close when you compare Nick and Samson, but Samson definitely has more detail in his biceps and triceps, so Samson is going to take this one as well. The abdomen again is a toss-up. It could go either way. Both are very impressive and detailed. And again for shape, this is a toss-up for me. The way Nick flares out his legs and his thick lats, it gives him a pretty decent neck frame, really holding his own up next to Samson. Conditioning though goes to Nick. I think the upper body is a toss-up and very comparable, but Nick definitely dominates the lower body. So overall, conditioning in this pose goes to Nick. And if you add up this score, we get a tie of 2-2. And now we have the most muscular, and we all know that Nick won the award for the best most muscular of the night, so it kind of speaks for itself, but we'll take a quick look at it anyway. Lower body clearly goes to Nick for the same reasons as I mentioned in the ab and thigh shots. Arms and delts go to Nick. He really brings the size and detail out here in this shot. He really dominates the detail, but the size actually is pretty comparable, but he still gets the upper hand. Chest, like usual, I would give to Samson, just more round and full. And the abdomen on this pose, I would actually go with Nick. They are much more of a standout than Samson. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's just the way he's showing them off. It just makes it look way more impressive. The overall shape though will go to Samson, and overall conditioning will go to Nick. But overall, Nick will get the win with this pose, 4-2. And with that covers all the mandatories except for the front lat spread. And I'm not even going to compare that shot because Samson just beats Nick by a mile. Nick has a very, very poor front lat spread. It just really exposes his blocky shape. This is something that he really needs to tweak to make look at least half decent. Even when he's doing the pose, he does not look confident, and I can clearly see why, because it just looks very, very bad. So as a whole, judging separately from the poses, I would give the overall shape to Samson, obviously, and the overall conditioning, because Nick brought better conditioning to the Olympia, and probably the best conditioning to the show. So overall conditioning goes to Nick. And now if we recap all of these results, this is what we get. Front double, we have Nick winning. Back double, we have Nick winning. Rear lat, we have a tie. Side chest, we have Samson. Side tricep, we have Nick. Ab and thigh, we have a tie. Most muscular, we have Nick. Overall shape, we have Samson. And overall for conditioning, we have Nick. And in total, adding up for an overall result of a 5-2 win for Nick Walker. So even though all these poses were very, very close, when you do a detailed breakdown of all the body parts in each pose, we still get a dominating win for Nick Walker. I'm honestly a little unsure how the judges had Samson winning by that much. Maybe they take Samson's shape and really reward him for that because they prefer that look. There could be many reasons why they gave Samson the win. I just don't see where it is in my breakdown. And now I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but if you do, please let me know why. This is just a breakdown. I try to give my unbiased opinion, and these are the results I got. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.